that, Chloe. Perfect. There we go. Yeah, well, I call it the Caddick also, so
Yeah.
it's kind of on brand. I think I had a cat ruin when I was on your show recently.
Potentially.
Yeah, probably.
Oh yeah, it stepped into the screen a couple times.
Definitely distracting me, that's for sure. Wait, can you? All right, let me go live. I'll hit the music and we'll go. Come on. See, even when I get everything prepared.
This is gross.
It's never a good fade out. It's never good live production there for the music. But hey, this is the Gross Domesticated Podcast. I'm the host. This is Pat George right here. And I am joined today by the very funny and very, very I was gonna try it. Philosophical.
There you go.
Yeah, that's how I have to do it. I have to like rear it up, like almost like a lawnmower. Philosophical. Sonia Z. Sonia Z is my guest today. You can find her doing comedy in the Philadelphia area. We have done comedy together. We've podcasted together recently on her podcast. Yo, that's weird. But if you are looking for some very, very insightful tracks of what is it? If you're looking for someone helping me keep my thoughts together for what I don't know, I think we ended up talking for like almost 2 hours.
We definitely, I feel like it was at least 3 Zoom sessions.
Yeah, but Sonia, thank you so much for being here. Can you tell people where else maybe they might be able to find you?
Yeah, all my social media is at that THAT CHICK Sonia, that chick Sonia, SONIA. That's my website, thatchicksonia.com. And yeah.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. So you've been doing the podcast. How long have you been doing your podcast for?
Oh, it's really so brand new. It's only been since November.
Oh, nice. So this wasn't just like a pandemic thing. This was like kind of out of the pandemic, kind of going into other, just basically just, is it more of a practice kind of thing? Is it something that you wanted to do? Or were you just kind of like, I want to get into like, everybody's got a podcast. I got to do something.
Well, I was waiting until I was actually a comic to start a podcast.
Okay.
Kind of where I was really doing stuff to talk about instead of, I feel like as an open micer, you have to just have a podcast now. But it's just like, I see so many people get up on stage over the years, cycles of open micers that start and stop now. Cause I've been through like at least 2 cycles.
Yeah.
That like, cause a lot of people will time out by like 3 to 4 years. It's like a relationship where they're just like, this is it. Or they find a relationship most of the time.
Do you mean with podcasts or stand-up or both?
Stand-up, open mics. So then to have to start a podcast from your first year in seems like a mess to me.
To have that, I remember a buddy of mine, mutual friend, I think, Andy Malafarina.
Andy.
He started when I was like, okay, yeah, I should probably like. I had always been a fan of podcasts and stuff like that. And when I was like, from before I even did stand up or anything like that, I was delivering for medical supply companies and all this other stuff. And a lot of driving, I would listen to like a shit ton of podcasts all the time, like many, many different, like not just definitely Rogan, but like a lot of the other, like I think early, like really professional podcasts. And it really kind of shaped my idea of what a podcast kind of should be or could be, I guess. And like, I think it's it's kind of a thing of like, it shouldn't feel like obligatory, like you say, like, oh, you feel bad because like comics
They
like
have
have to
to.
do it. Yeah, it's like, because it can be such a creative thing that like, I'm glad that you're somebody that like is at least kind of giving an example of like, just wait until you have a perspective, or at least your
Yeah.
perspective thought out a little bit more.
Or like that, you're even going to continue to pursue this as a career path, because
Yeah.
so many people quit. I was going to say something like, I was going to try a joke recently, like, what do you think you'll see more abortions of in the next 2 years, children or podcasts?
Yeah.
Which one's going up on the bar graph?
Yeah, I think it's probably, well, actually, now that until they make both of them equally illegal in most states, and I think that's the only way.
we
There
should
should
start we should start making some laws against
if
podcasts.
California is a state like banned podcasts, that would definitely take that, it would take a huge hit. I feel
It's
like.
just because everybody, like, you, even comics outside of comedy, there's, I forget where I was just talking to some random people in a bar and like
Mm,
with my friend, and they were just like, oh yeah, we have a true crime podcast. We're number 10 in the country. And it's just like random people you meet, because anybody can literally do this and
yeah.
get on it. But like you said, I always thought a podcast was when you were already successful as a comic, like Bill Burr,
Hmm.
Mark Maron, the big times that would then do it to show you what they're like when it's not material.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think both those people actually, that's brings it back to what I was talking about with like Andy. Bill Burr and Mark Maron are both people that are kind of got famous doing podcasts by themselves mostly,
Yeah,
or
like
a lot.
there's,
And he was doing that as an open micer. Can you like, I was so self-aware. Like, that's why I apologized earlier when I was like, oh yeah, I was just recently on your podcast and now I've invited you to talk to me for another couple hours here. And then you're like, yeah, I got to go edit your podcast. Like, so now it's a lot of me in your head. And I apologize about that. But
uh,
it's a, like, that's why I didn't want to ever change this. Like, this is always, I love the name. I like the like changing it and how it's kind of grown over like the year. Like, I did start it as an open micer, but instead of stop like giving it up all those times, like, starting, stopping, it was like I kind of would work at it and try to figure out. And I think I really kind of maybe just now found like the schedule that I kind of can keep. And it really still is very ambiguous, but I think it's like you said, when until you actually have something to offer or something to like give to people, like can't just be like, there's one I listen to that's an advertisement on a podcast that actually is like one of the better ones that I listen to. And the advertisement is for a podcast where they're like, oh, I love horror movies, but I hate them. So this person will watch a movie and then it'll explain it to me, but I don't like that really. So then we kind of, and it's like, why you just like who pitched this? Like, how is it? Is this really what you wanted to do? Is this like really something? It didn't feel, it feels, even in the commercial where they're trying to pitch it, it just kind of feels like so forced. And it was like, I don't understand. But like you said, that's actually a better point of saying like, you have to kind of do it if you're doing comedy now.
yeah,
I mean, not now, but like it's been like that. But like that also video editor, who, how do you do your captions? Where do you do your this? Where it's like, I don't know. I think I think true success, at least from what I've garnered, nope, I don't have success. What I think it might be is more of like, is like just literally being happy with what you're doing. So like, if you like doing a
yeah,
podcast, you could do it, but also like sometimes a lot of people can be, I admire the people that are successful that say, I'm not doing more. You know what I mean? Like Five Guys hamburger. They go like, we got hamburgers, hot dogs. You got a salad? No. You have,
yeah. Get pickles. You got
yeah.
pickles.
Yeah, we got pickles. I don't know. That's kind of, you can get lettuce on it, but not too much.
Yeah, something wrong with you?
It's the same thing with Checkers. There's Checkers and there's that really famous one that everybody always talks about, takeout.
In and out.
No, well, there's like, it's in like the
Takeout.
Carolinas.
Oh, I
It's
don't
like
know.
the cookout or something. I can't remember what it is. It's like but it's essentially the same idea as Checkers, where it's like it's a chain of fried foods. Like, that's it. It's just there's no other options. So there is something with like, there is something to say about like, I'm the comic that doesn't have a podcast, but
yeah, you're
it
the odd
always-
man out.
it comes and gets you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just didn't want to rush it. I didn't want it. I mean, and it wasn't when I first started. It wasn't like it is now. And I think even maybe you were ahead of it, just like ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
With it, just because maybe the circles you were in. And even though I would see my friends around me, they had been doing stand-up longer. And so then it was natural for them to do a podcast after you start to get some kind of footing in comedy, because what else would you like want to, who else do you know? What else are you going to talk about? Unless you have, like you said, a format like I hate horror movies, blah, blah, blah. But then a lot of YouTube culture like kicked in where people are now doing, it has to be like a video too, I feel like.
Yeah.
We're on YouTube.
Kind of element. Yeah. Yeah. You have to stream, and then you also have to, what do you do for like, I'm such a shitty lane because I don't really like, I don't party. So I don't really go out. I don't drink really. So I don't go out a lot. I don't socialize in a lot of, again, maybe the worst career choice was trying to pursue comedy just because I don't like staying up too late. I don't like drinking. I don't like a lot of like pop culture things or anything like that, but I do truly love stand-up comedy. But I find like if you have, but I kind of feel like I don't really have a lot of those same distraction. Like I just really, I don't know. I want to do like, I feel like podcasting can kind of be a better exercise in a lot of cases. And like where people like, if you're not able to get a ton of reps, like in a big, see, like did you start, you've always lived in Philadelphia, right?
Yeah.
Like, so there's always been at least a couple mics a week.
Yeah. Like when I first started, it was like 4 to 5 a week, maybe.
Yeah. Like, or
maybe.
even sometimes multiple a night.
That was right before COVID. There was 2 to 3 every night almost. But when I very first started, it was not that many. It was maybe 4 total. It was like a Fergie's one.
Yeah.
One that Joey Doherty ran at an Irish bar off South Street, the comedy at a Laugh House, right? 2 Rays at Warm Daddies, and Raven and Helium.
So like I like, that's what I mean. Like you have like the podcasting even early on, like with some of those open micers, or at least how I kind of saw it too, was like I knew I was already a fan of like broadcasting. Like I liked a lot of radio people and stuff like that, whether it be, so it was kind of, I think it was being a fan of like those people, and also the comics and the mix, like O&A and shit like that. I was one of those people.
I listen to O&A every day.
Yeah. So like that was like the mix between that is what I really liked. So like somebody like Jim Norton was somebody that I really admired.
I love Norton.
Yeah. Is somebody that like, that's a career path that I was like, yeah, literally, maybe it's a little antisocial, maybe it's a little weird, but it's like, go do comedy, go to bed at a pretty reasonable hour, wake up in the morning, do like kind of essentially do, radio, but comedy again, joke around with your friends, talk about shit in the news. You have that kind of freedom. That's what I was kind of trying to prepare myself for with early podcasting. So I don't know if that makes sense. Like I knew I didn't necessarily have a point of view, but I also knew that even with a smaller audience, if they kind of fucked with what I was doing now, hopefully, they would kind of grow with me, because like I wanted to build that muscle, since I wasn't able to build the stand-up muscle as efficiently as I could. With podcasting, I saw it as an opportunity. You said like anybody could do this. Like
anybody
literally,
do it.
Yeah, I can do this, and I can try to be like different, a little bit better. Like there's something, you got to get your thumbnails and you got to do all this other shit. But like you said, like eventually, yeah, I'll do my thumbnails how I want. Like I'm going to try to do this the way I'd like to do it, because I can do it that way, at least now. And then if I do get an opportunity for radio or broadcasting or something like that, I'm not just like, yeah, I got a podcast on YouTube, or I got a show that I like, you know, I have more. I think I have more of a voice, hopefully, unless like for broadcasting.
Yeah, keep working on that stutter. You'll be good.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have a great job making it. I can't sell myself. Like I'm not good with like, but I'm not good with on paper. But
Yeah.
yeah, you know, who's who is somebody that you would like listen to besides O&A on the radio? Like anybody local?
Well, radio would have been when I was younger and I had my first like day job, like in my early 20s or like around there. And it was like O&A and Howard Stern were literally on the radio. And it was before Sirius and podcasting and like the way we know it now, because this is so long ago when they were on the radio. And then it like I didn't really have any radio that I listened to after that.
Yeah. Yeah, I would listen to a lot of everyone's the radio beefs in the Tampa Bay area where Bubba the Love Sponge against MJ and BJ in the morning.
I feel like I've heard about that.
Yeah.
I just
he was the guy that I think he got kind of picked up or taken under the wing of Howard Stern, Bubba the Love Sponge. He's a friend of his.
Yeah.
And then the other guy turned into a conservative talk radio guy in the afternoon. In the morning, he was MJ in the morning. And then in the afternoon, he was
by lunchtime, he winds down.
Yeah. I can't remember. I think it was Schmidt or something like that.
Oh, no.
But I remember all it was him just taking very, very dramatic. You want to talk about speech impediments? I was like, is this guy okay? Because he would just stop talking for long periods of time. He would just go, and that's the point.
That's like probably what Harry carries.
Yeah. Like it was like, I don't know if he was trying to build anticipation or drama, but it was just really, I would turn my radio up a little bit. Like, is it, you have to hear that room noise a little bit. You're like, oh, I hear him. Like, is he taking a drink? What's going on? Is he crying?
I can pick up the room tone really cleanly.
I don't like that stuff. One thing I did hate about listening to radio, and I still hate about radio, is radio commercials. Anytime they have radio actors trying to say like, hey Bill, don't go over there with that, like anytime they have to act out anything, because it's always way too descriptive, and it's never like they're trying to paint a picture a lot better, instead of just being like, hey, we got to sell this product. They're trying to actually paint a picture with words in like 30 seconds over the radio.
Yeah.
For like, Navage. Like,
I know.
What are you doing?
Like nasal irrigation at its finest.
Yeah. Like legitimately, when that guy comes on, every time I hear that, like free plug for Navage for anybody, all of the 20 to 30 people that watch this. Not Navage. When you, like you said, nasal irrigation helps me remember what Navage is way more than if I heard like, hey, I got stuffy nose. What's going on? Like, oh, honey, I got you this for your birthday. I guess you can open it early. Like, why are you doing that? I don't understand. But I don't know. People, they a lot of times comics will talk about when they go do radio shows locally in towns or something like that, they never makes a difference with ticket sales.
Oh, I believe that.
And I wonder, I would venture to say those radio ads where they have people acting out how much they love a McMuffin, and then it ends, with a ba 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 or some shit, and that has sold 0 McMuffins. I think it's the same thing. I
don't know. You never know with subliminal programming sometimes with people, but I know that those spots that are like Punchline used to send us to do the Q show on TV.
What is that?
It's just like a daytime talk show with Quincy Adams. What's his name? He's the Q. I don't know. He's like a Philly talk show guy, daytime TV that like moms watch. I don't even know if it's on anymore because I saw Punchlines now doing a different type show.
Oh, so I put in Quincy Adams and it says John Quincy Adams. No, I know that's not who it is.
No, because it's not Quincy Jones. That's a singer, I think. But anyway.
But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
He's the Q. So, but I always felt like out of these, they had like, it was like a weird studio audience with like just random moms. And then I feel like that's who probably the demo of the show was. I'm like, how many of these ladies are going to buy tickets for the Punchline like Wednesday showcase or whatever I was hosting or something at the time? Yeah. When the club first opened, they would do press all the time, like with whoever was hosting for the different showcases. And I don't know. I feel like what you said about the ticket sales from people doing spots, and you have to get up like, because it's at like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Only us psychos are up listening to the radio at 5 a.m.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's not like I mean, I would still like to go there for the possibility of I mean, I don't know. Cause I was a fan of, again, I was a fan of local radio,
Sure.
and I would find out if a comic was coming to a club, but I don't think I would ever go to the show unless I also won tickets. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, so
I just bought tickets wherever I was going.
yeah, like I already had plans. And then when
You
they're
already
coming
knew.
in to promote it, it's like, yeah, that's tonight. Of course.
Yeah.
What am I, an animal that doesn't have tickets
Yeah,
already?
to the show that's probably sold out. I know, like
Yeah.
it's like
But then if they're there, obviously it's not.
It's
That's why
not.
they're there.
Yeah.
That's another thing you find out.
it's kind of embarrassing at that point.
So it looks like the queue. I don't know if this is I believe this is what you're talking about.
The queue on Fox.
Yeah, on Fox 29 features Quincy Harris.
Harris, plain. It's another like just plain
Yeah, just
5-letter
regular
last name.
But yeah, I went I would also, I remember once I called in to, it was Cowhead in the afternoon at the time, and I called because Brian Posehn was the guest.
Okay.
And I had recently, I don't know if I had done stand up at the time, but if I had, it was like 1 or 2 times, and I was like, I don't know, like now I've matured, and now I would think I'm going to call Brian Posehn and to tell him this, and then I would go, wait, why would you call? Because I just wanted to call and say, hey, I recently started doing stand up, to Brian Posehn, and go, what do you think? I was literally that guy. I was the guy that was like, hey, yeah, I do stand up. Yeah, I do it too. Just
Typical.
just around here locally. My wife Googled a couple open mics. Yeah, I do and he goes, well, tell me a joke. And then I froze. I had nothing. And it was like one of those things where like I that was the first time I had ever been hung up on. I don't think I ever really got through on any kind of radio show. Again, driving a truck a lot, I didn't really have a lot to occupy me. I wasn't going to pay attention to the road. So I wanted
When there was only radio, that was what you did in the car.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you had your own tapes or CDs or whatever the hell your car had in it.
Tapes and CDs. This is I'm glad that you bring this up. I'm assuming, and that I hope I don't make an ass of myself. You had probably some kind of CD book in your car as a youth.
Oh, I still have 2 of them in my back like storage
do you really?
area that I saved them. I have my grandma has a CD player actually downstairs.
Okay. So do you still throw on a disc from time to time?
I haven't lately, but I have a tall tower of all my original CDs in the corner of my room.
How would you organize them? Alphabetically or
genre? Mostly.
Okay.
Because when you had to take them out of there, putting them back alphabetically was a nightmare. Like I used to try to do that loosely, but
this might be my one of my undiagnosed disorders, possibly. And
okay.
But I loved that. I actually have them still alphabetically in 2 big, those big ones. I remember I thought those were so fucking
the big
cool.
square where you have like 98 CDs in there.
Yeah, a humongous, like I wanted the one that had like 300 bills in it. You know what I mean? Like I wanted a ton of pages front to back, CD books in the front, alphabetically, starting with numbers. I started with numbers.
Okay.
And then you go all the way through. Then I also was like, well, does MXPX, does it start with, is it M dot, so is it M? You know what I mean? Like that's when my lack of grammar came into kind of to hurt me. I feel like a lot more, but I still have those, and I very rarely, unless there's something I can't find online and I have to like rip it and put it online or just put it on my phone or something like that. I very rarely crack that open or anything like that. But you said you still have that in your car?
No.
Oh,
I found the ones I used to keep in my car. Sorry.
You're okay. No, I keep mine in
my back like storage closet area.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I keep mine in the closet as well.
My cattic or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
but I just looked like I was moving something and I went, oh, I have all these burned CDs that probably don't even work. I think I tried to put one on because I used to put all my playlists onto a burned CD for my car from iPods because before iPhone.
Yeah, I didn't mean for this to be hey, this is all the things that we used to do as youths.
I know.
But but I was thinking of this because I wrote this down and I'm glad I remembered to ask you about it. Did you see that Thrice re-recorded and re-released Artists in the Ambulance?
I did, and I listened to it the other day at work, and I was going to post how I think it's Dustin's attempt to, when they come around and do the tour of it, they're coming to Philly, I think May 30th.
Yep, the wife
You're
and
gonna go. Yeah. I didn't get tickets yet, but
not yet either.
Sometimes with Live Nation, I can get in stuff over there. So I was kind of trying to wait out because I work at Punchline. But
technically I do too.
Technically you could ask you've worked there now, so you could technically ask like if Jay's you got to know somebody that's working that night to kind of walk you over.
Yeah.
I'm not don't give away all the industry secrets. But anyway, yes, and I was gonna say that I think since he's like so much older now and his voice is all shot out, it was like a way for him to like be able to do it in his voice now and not have the fans start roiling online the next day like, oh, it sounded like shit, blah blah blah, because it doesn't sound exactly like his voice did 20 years ago.
Yeah, this is what I love this aspect of bands nowadays is like going out and touring and playing from start to
whole
finish.
Thing.
A classic album. Most of the classic albums. I saw Offspring do Smash.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. And they weren't even the headliner, which was crazy for that show.
Oh shit.
To be like that. I felt like they were I feel like it almost should go by age, but that's a whole different topic. But
whoever's booking the show, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. There's I have a lot of theories about, and I'm glad that you're here because you're I think Thrice is that your number one or is it?
Yeah, they're my favorite band. Yeah.
Thrice. Okay. I didn't know Thrice is like, so that's a band that is probably my Mount Rushmore. They're one of my top. I'm highly critical of their releases. Probably everything after Beggars was the beginning of the end, in my opinion, of their demise, of their kind of like them like Dustin trying to be this folk artist guy. But I don't know if it's like what you were saying, like where he blew out his voice.
It's just from so many years of screaming, but a lot of people feel that way. But I feel like at first I felt like that. And I agreed with you almost like it wasn't rocky enough for me. I went, this is dad rock. I hate it. But then I love everything they've put out since now.
Hurricane was incredible.
Hurricane was... No, I have Sea Change tattooed right here. Like my artist did a version of Sea Change, the art for that. I like Robot Soft Exorcism.
Okay.
I like it all because it's the best bands. I was in a band. I think we talked about that before.
You also play bass, right?
I do.
Nice.
And when we went to meet with a producer that our singer was friends with, and like an actual real one, like worked with the Roots and whoever else. When we recorded an album, we were talking about it beforehand. They said, "What's the like besides a band having a signature sound that you can recognize immediately, like the tone of it or whatever. Besides that's one thing that will get you big as an artist is you have a signature sound. The next thing, staying in people's minds and staying relevant is changing with the times. And one of my favorite examples is the Beastie Boys.
Yeah. Okay.
It was very grainy and punky when they first came out. And then think about from that to like Intergalactic, how far it changed, but it just was like still good. When that came out, that was the jam.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think I think that's another thing is if they can grow. Like I love when a band can be vulnerable, and I like when a band can grow naturally. Yeah. And a lot of times I feel like with most bands, when it's happening naturally, it takes like an album or two. It's like a shift. They kind of go like there's songs that sound like a good mix between the last out. Like so in Artist in the Ambulance, there's some songs that sound like a good mix of Illusion of Safety and Visu. Like they're you kind of see both sides of the hill, and then but it is very, but they're all very much artists in the ambulance. You know what I mean? Like, but when that gets to once he started doing Dustin Kensrue started doing a lot more of his
own
solo,
stuff.
I think that poisoned it. Mostly, I say, yeah, give that release, go out and do this stuff, but it kind of gave him this, I think, this illusion of what he is. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like Dustin Kensrue nearly as much as I like Thrice.
Oh
And
yeah, I don't really listen to any of his solo stuff.
well,
all.
that being said, his first solo album I loved, and Dom and I were going to dance to one of the songs on there until son of a bitch friend of mine stole the song. And him and
Stole
his
your wedding dance song, dude.
I told him about the album, and I said I burned him the album, and I said, you should check this out. I think you'd really like it. You know, you love Thrice, obviously you'll love this. Dom and I are even going to be dancing to that song, Pistol. And then we're at their wedding, and then we hear the fucking song start. We're like, what the fuck? So, hey, either way, they're divorced now.
Yo, that's not your friend. Good. Goodbye.
That's
what you get. That's what you get for stealing someone's song that they specifically there's so many, he has so many like love related songs because he just like loves his wife. Like, you know what I mean? But like, and there's so many bands, and
I didn't realize at first, because I'm not a very big I'm not a big lyrics guy.
Sure.
Not a lot.
I wrote lyrics, so I'm a big yeah.
So yeah, okay. So you're more, can you sing and play? That's the thing I could never do.
Yeah, a little bit. Bass, it's hard because you're keeping the rhythm. It's like playing the drums. But piano, I can. I'm not great on guitar, but the few songs I can.
Piano, you can sing and play at the same time.
Yeah.
God damn. That's okay. Sorry. You know this. That's both of your hands doing two different things, and then your mouth doing a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
That sounded weird. I'm sorry. No,
I mean, I can't.
I'm sorry.
The guy I'm talking to is probably watching this so mad right now.
You didn't talk right after it, and I was just like, yeah, I know. I said it. If it was me, I would in my head, yeah, I saw it. I heard it.
You're like, I'm very talented, Pat.
But I could never do that. Like, whether it be rhythm guitar, I could never play lead.
Rhythm is hard to sing with.
Yeah.
Rhythm is hard. Now, piano, when you're keeping the rhythm, it's a little, I've also learned that first.
Okay.
I feel like as a kid. So maybe just because I have such a mastery of, once I know the song in my head, my hands just go. It's kind of like comedy.
See, that's the thing. When like Dustin Kensrue and stuff, when they started introducing piano, and all that stuff into Thrice.
Yeah.
And like soften. I'm not one of those bros that's like, you need to fucking scream all the time, dude. Like I love that song for Miles off of V2.
That's one of my favorites.
And not just because of the end.
No, it's just just such a good song.
And this might be a little dark. I remember when I heard it, I was like, I want this played at my fucking funeral, dude.
Well, you know, I was kind of like in my band when I started listening to Thrice from my guitarist, from the lead guitarist. He was a huge Thrice fan. He burned me Vahisu. And he was like, here, you only like Artists in the Ambulance? You got to listen to this one.
Oh, yeah.
Then from then I was just hooked and like just never,
So my theory with them re-recording this, and I think you're right as well, because it's like also like, guys, here's what you can expect, because a lot of the versions, they're a little bit, I always end up, okay, I'm going to get into a very pretentious zone. If I'm not already there, Sonia, I'm very sorry. And anybody listening to this after the fact, please, I understand what I sound like, but it's a very intentional, like its intent is very clear. Like it's very, like it's a very methodical, like it's very slow. And it is very much, this is what you can expect because this is who we are now. These are what the songs are now. They're not very different. They're a little bit more slow. They're a little bit more precise. And there is like maybe the keys a little different. Maybe maybe I don't scream at this part anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't do that, but it's not that different. And I think it's better. But I think they Taylor Swifted it. So this is their most popular album, right? When it was originally released, it was under Island Def Jam music group.
They had a music video.
They had a music video.
Like the one that catapulted them into being an underground,
right?
Good, like big
ringtones.
band.
They had fucking like everything.
Oh, I had the ringtones.
Yeah, same. I did too. I had Stare at the Sun. I think I had. Yeah. So like this was their most marketed album for sure. Well, this one sounds, I'd say, just as good, if not better, in my opinion. I think all of the songs aged very well, but it is now released under Thrice and other people. You know what I mean? Like so now if anybody is thinking of like, if they're getting nostalgic, oh man, I want to listen to this album or anything like that, not just because like you should check out the new recordings of it, also featuring people like Chuck Reagan, Curl Up and Die, I think, is on a track and stuff like that. But they are like, they get the residues now. If you're getting the ringtone, get this ringtone. If you're sharing a song, share this song. If you're streaming it or whatever, if you're gonna buy, if for some reason you're gonna buy an album in fucking 2023, then buy this one, because it's not that different. And there's a weird thing. I can't remember the song that it's fuck. I was just listening to it, but there is so speaking of the seeing them live.
Yeah.
They put out House of Blues, Live at the House of Blues in 2014 or 2015. No, 2014, December 2014, because I asked for it for Christmas. I fucking wanted it that bad. I love live albums because they're a best of. You get a true representation of what the band can do live, in person, on the spot. Can you replicate the feeling or emotion? Can you do this? What you did on the album, can you do it live? And that fucking album sucks. The recording, it sounds like I recorded it.
I don't have any. I don't have a single track from there on any of the massive amount of playlists that I have. I have an entire Thrice one that I've been working on, and I don't think I've ever had.
I have the album, but you want to open that big ass square CD book I have, Sonia? It's in there, but I ain't gonna fucking pop that sumbitch in ever. It is, and that doesn't have a scratch on it. Yeah. So, and I remember the notes I had. I was like, the crowd is clapping off tempo, and they're doing like literally. I remember thinking the crowd.
Not the artist's fault. That's just people are.
But they're not doing anything. Like they're too. I can hear them too well. Like,
oh yeah,
them the fuck down. Shut them up.
Right. Who mic'd up the crowd so closely?
Yeah, I can hear. So and when they start singing "Artist in the Ambulance," late night, it's that part. Yeah. I can hear the crowd exclusively. I cannot hear Dustin at all.
Yeah.
So like the mix is terrible. Then they re-release. I can't remember what it's called, but it's I think it's called like Anthology or something like that.
Oh yeah, there's two of them.
It's a 2-discer. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That one is incredible. So
I like that one.
In that album, at one point, I can't remember. I think it's for we break the, what's the song? Iron Bars. Oh fuck, I can't remember what it is, but there's a drum breakdown essentially, and and at one point Dustin goes to the crowd, follow the hi-hat, and I go, fuck yeah, dude. He listened.
Yeah.
He listened to me.
Yeah.
So there's one song off of Artist in the Ambulance, a little bit deeper. It's got the sick ass breakdown. And I remember right before the breakdown, I go, man, I would really love just one snare hit right there, right before the breakdown, right when everybody stops, bam, 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 and then like go right into it. Every time I hear him live, I'm waiting for it. Every time I see him live, like personally, I'm waiting for it. Nothing. On this album, Sonia, they fucking put it on. And once I find it, I'll send it to you.
All
but
right,
it's like they listen to their fans.
I can kind of hear the guitar riff playing in my head, but I'm struggling to form the whole song, but I can hear you thinking of it.
But it's like a little bit later. I think
like that one, or is it?
It's the Hoods of
How's on Peregrine?
That one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that one. I could hear it playing from your head. It just
and it goes. I just want to.
That's a good song. Whoa, yo, break down the mic, mosh it.
Right, I'm telling you, I'm about to fucking throw some bows, dude. But I wanted so you have listened to it. I really wanted to get your take on that because I know what is it you quoted Tim Butterly.
Because he used to tweet it all the time. I forget, like one of their fans on Dad Meet one time like got him mad about Thrice, like because like Tim hates on them. He says they're heavy music for heavy girlfriends.
That's what it is. Yeah, I remember hearing that, and I took offense by it because I was like, hey, I have the the Elements albums, EPs that they did.
Yeah,
I have that tattooed on my shin, on the front of my shin, like that whole, because I remember thinking one of my all-time favorite bands is doing one of my all-time favorite things. I love concept albums. That's what I feel like a live album really is
sure.
Is
an idea.
Is the concept of the band.
Yeah.
Like, here's what it would be like if you were to go to one of their shows. Best case scenario. I just had an argument with Andy, and how familiar are you with the Misfits?
They're not, it's so funny. They're so like legendary, and we even did a cover in my band, but I'm not like this huge trivia buff on them.
Which one did you do?
We did a mashup. It was hold on. I'm terrible with titles sometimes, but I'll know like every lyric of the song.
Is it the goddamn son of a bitch one?
No. I'm like, I can hear it playing in my head, but I'm trying.
No, I don't want to distract you, but I also don't want to I want to try to
take
help.
Up dead airspace.
Yeah, somebody tunes in right at that point and you're going,
yeah, I was gonna try to like look it up.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, you can look it up if you want. I basically I have a theory that I am also not very so if it makes you feel
wait, hold on. What's the lyric? It's like there's no hold on. Oh, I almost got it. It's like halfway coming out of my head.
No, just keep telling me what it is. It like there's no Eagles there.
Hold on, it's like so close in my head.
By the way, I just suggested the same song that I just did before. Wait, is it that one that I just mentioned earlier?
No.
We Bite. We are 138.
No.
Halloween.
Because I used to sing along while we were playing it.
Oh, what was? Do you remember what your part specifically was? I might be able to get with the gang vocal.
Yeah,
I know the hits.
That's why, because we did gang vocals in our band. So I'm trying to think of. I just don't know the Misfits good enough. I'm like such a bad punk.
Fine. Well, this
Hold
is
on.
no. This
I'm gonna
is my
search
point.
them. I'm gonna search them.
Glenn Danzig.
Hold on. I'm trying to. It's like because our singer was such like a huge.
He was like that. They were a Misfit. Head. What was it?
Like huge, like just like all those OG like Bad Brains, Misfits. Every like original like.
I think that's kind of that's turned out to be my thing. So even when a lot of times I discover when kind of revisiting a lot of these bands from my childhood, I've realized I never felt, even as like a punk
horror
rock
business.
Oh, okay. That's kind of that's more of that's not like a blatant, that's not a, I think that's more of a deeper cut.
And then we would transition it into a thrash song. Oh, who was the band? But that doesn't matter. But we would end it, and when it goes back, it goes at the end.
Yeah.
And then we would turn it into a thrash, like a mix, a mashup.
They kind of were though, like especially when they reformed later on, like because the recordings sounded so much better. I feel like they did sound a little thrashy. But I'm not here to talk about new Misfits or anything like that, because I was a lot of times I realize when I'm talking about these older bands and growing up listening to the music and in the scene and stuff like that, I realized like I want to wear cool plaid pants and fucking suspenders and boots and stuff. But I couldn't afford the boots. I none of the clothes at Hot Topic fit me because I was a big fat kid. You know what I mean? So like, so it's kind of like
before body shaming era at Hot
Right.
Topic, pre body shaming.
It was one of those things of like, yeah, I want all those cool strap things. I remember I
I
almost
had them, the bondage pants.
yeah,
the red
I
ones,
wanted those, the
straps.
ones that like connected in the back or whatever,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And like I had a pair that kind of fit once, like a little bit, but I never had the confidence to wear it outside. So like I felt like an outcast even in like the outcast thing. And I always thought it was weird that there was like the rules of like straight edge guys have all these rules, and like if
Oh yeah.
this suspender, you mean this, and if you have this boot lace, you means this, and like so I always felt like weird with that. But like I always saw the shirts. I always saw TSOL, and I saw like Bad Brains,
AFI,
AFI, Misfits, stuff like that.
anti-flag.
Yeah. So, but I was just bringing up this argument that I think that Guar deserves the shine that the Misfits get. I think it should be reversed because they give
I
a
love
lot
Guar.
more. They give a lot more to their fans, and it's the same idea. It's this like
Theatrics.
Instead of like horror punk, it's more like sci-fi punk metal.
Mm-hmm.
And they give like storylines, they create characters, like whereas the Misfits kind of go, you guys remember that movie TXH113? No, none of us.
Yeah, they're just those elitist kids that like,
they're
you couldn't
dorks.
hang out with because they were too cool and they had a devil lock.
Yeah, they have all their hair here because now it's all balding.
yeah. Well, it's like, I get what you're saying because it's kind of like, it's like Guar is like Ghost and stuff like that, where that kind of, and then like Misfits is kind of like more like where Marilyn Manson went with like a theme of the band just being spooky.
It's like who should be considered punk Kiss, and like and where like Misfits has like Fiend Skull ashtrays and fucking
all the
lighters
stuff,
and swim trunks and fucking NASCAR jackets and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like Kylie Jenner is wearing fucking Fiend Skulls and shit like that. It's I get it, but it's also like just because they had better branding, it doesn't mean that they should get, because they also get so much shine. And I was just recently listening to the Misfits. Like I just had all of their songs on shuffle. Like let's just go all over all of them. And that idea that I brought up earlier with, I like the idea of these bands before they go on these tours where they're going to play the whole album, they should re-record them. I think that's really cool. But with the Misfits, their deep cuts of songs and different recordings fucking suck. The song that you have heard that you like by them is the only version of that song that's good. If you hear them live, they go, and it sounds like shit. It's just like, it's just thudding. And it's garbage. It's like, but if you see Guar, that's like this whole thing. And then they have this crafted dinosaur that comes out and bites people's heads off and it squirts stick. And
I went in the maggot one time.
You got in the maggot?
We went in the maggot. Actually,
I was just talking about this.
Yeah. I was very sad because, I wasn't sad. At first I was like, oh, hell yeah. Because the security guard walked up like, hey, you want to go in the maggot? I was like, just stand by the edge, by the side of the stage at Electric Factory. And now known as Franklin Music Hall or whatever the hell they call it. And I was standing in line. There was like a little line to go up the side of the stage, and Odorous was still alive.
Yeah.
And I was standing there and I was next. And he started walking over to me with like his arms out, like he was going to pick me up and put me in the ground. And some taller than me, bigger than me, bitch, elbowed me out of the way. And he grabbed her. And then Ballsack picked me up, but
that's cool.
I like Ballsack, but still, they're both dead, aren't they? I don't know.
No, Ballsack didn't die. It was the other guitar player. I wish I could remember his fucking name. I always forgot his name because he was the only one I never really had like a personal connection with.
Yeah, I'm trying. I had this conversation. You're right.
I think
it doesn't matter.
I might be able to show you, but there was. I was just talking about. Guar is actually the band that I have seen probably the most.
Okay.
Of all time, I've seen them maybe double digits actually. Now that I think about it, because at first when I got to see them when I was younger, it was an experience. It was incredible. I went to go to see them at the Ritz in Ybor City. Whoop whoop.
I remember
Offered-
hearing that. I remember hearing that on radios,
Yeah, offered
like on
crack.
radio stations. Yeah.
It was a little weird. That was the first place I was offered crack in Florida. That was so. I think this was probably the second or third time I'd seen Guar, and I was hooked. This is my fuck Alice Cooper, fuck Kiss, fuck. I mean, all due respect, I understand that they have their place in time, yada yada. But like, I with that thing that everybody was always, all those other kids or people were talking about, that Guar is that for me. I love them. I love it's not a joke to me. I love the music genuinely. I listen to Guar on a regular basis.
Guar, the album Guar, the self-titled, is one of my first CDs I ever owned.
Yeah, I had Maximum Destruction. I think that was the name of it. I can't remember. It has Crush, Kill, Destroy on it.
Yeah, I think it is. It's not Maximum Destruction. Appetite for Destruction? No. Symphony
yeah,
of
that
Destruction?
was Chinese
Symphony?
Democracy.
I forget.
No, it was, but I had so we were after the show, after we saw them, incredible. Got some great like pictures that on a fucking disposable camera that night. It was really crazy. I actually still have those somewhere too.
Okay.
That's and I was waiting by the bus because that's what you do when you're a kid, and I never did that rarely did that for any athletes. I don't think, you know what I mean? Like, it was always waiting by the bus after the show to just meet the band.
Sure.
And so there's like a couple of the slaves going by, the stagehands, the slaves going by and stuff like that. And everybody's polite and everything. They're not being like dicks, like get out of the way or anything. And I'm just standing there, and then all of a sudden this guy comes by, and like he's a little bit taller, and like he's not carrying anything. He's not doing anything except for he's got this big thing of milk. He's got a big jug of milk. And like he takes this big swig of it, and he looks down at me, and I like kind of gesture at him like, hey. And he goes, he like offers me the milk. And I was like, oh, no, thank you. And he's like, okay. And he took another chug, and he went on. And I realized that's odorous.
Yeah.
That was fucking odorous Orungus. Holy shit. I guess I found out from somebody that he drinks it after the show because it coats his throat.
Well, no wonder he died.
Yeah. Yeah. He's drinking a gallon of 2% milk.
First of all, that's not the right thing for your throat. Anybody listening, that's not it.
Right.
It's like honey, like sweet, sugary honey. I took a vocal class one time in like a theater camp thing, and it's sweet, sugary stuff like a lollipop or honey in tea. But
not milk, not ice cold milk.
No, that gives you mucus.
Oh, well, at least it was after the show.
I mean, people have their weird rituals, and I'm not going to knock it, but for anybody out there, the scientific answer is not to crush a gallon of milk after you sing and tear your vocal cords up.
Yeah.
It's not just because it seems soothing. It isn't. That's for acid reflux.
Maybe that's what Dustin's been doing. That's why he had to re-record all the.
No, it's from definitely screaming gutturals for 20 years.
So that was like, he went into the bus, and I was like, oh man, that sucks. Like, I hope he can I hope he comes back out, because that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And out comes fucking Beefcake the Mighty.
Okay.
Bass player. And he's talking with us. He took a picture with us.
Yeah.
He's like hanging out. I asked him for an autograph. Not only did he give me an autograph, but it's right there.
Okay.
Up there, right there.
It looks like
barely see
nothing,
it.
but I see it.
Yeah, but I can't.
Looks like a little drawing, like a sketch or something.
If I took that down, everything would fall.
Bro, you don't have to go there.
But he drew me a fucking cartoon that says "All Hail Beefcake."
Oh, that's cool. That's
like,
really cool.
and it looks fucking cool. Like, he looks like he had this big shin tattoo of Pee Wee Herman and all these like horror monsters, like all this. Like, we were talking about bands and shit like that. He was the coolest, most down to earth dude. I just, to me, for what they are, I think, to fans, and what they give to fans, not only like talent wise, but also just the fact that they're within enough of the same, I feel like, bounds that they could be. You could argue, who should win. I feel like out of those two bands, who should you be seeing? You should see that fucking Techno Destructo skull instead of a Fiend skull
over the Misfits. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. I would go. Way more fun. Is Techno Destructo the other guitarist?
No, it's damn it. You know what? No. Yeah, let me look that up real quick. Guitar player, because he died before. So, like I said, I saw them more than any other band that I've ever seen. I saw them a bunch of times, almost every year when I was a kid, like once a year or once every 2 years when they would come around when I was younger. Then when I got married for our, we got married on like the 9th. And I feel like the week after or not long after, the same month of October, we went to see Guar at the Masquerade, which used to be the Ritz, or maybe it switched. I can't remember. One of them used to be the old name. And then they just kind of started coming around on or around our anniversary every year after that. So every year, because I got my wife hooked. She had never seen Guar, and I was like, I think you're gonna like Guar. You should check out Guar. And she was like, what is this? Like she hadn't even heard of them past what I was explaining to her. You know what I mean? Like she wasn't familiar with them in general. And when I took her, almost every time they were coming through, they were playing also with another band that I loved. I got to see him with the Casualties. I got to see him with Every Time I Die.
I think I was at that one.
It's crazy. That was the one, that was the tour when I got to see him, that the guitar player had died right before that show.
Yeah.
That was the first show back. And I was just like, ugh.
Yeah, I just got the chills.
Great. But it was like, oh, this is sad.
I mean, they're very niche. They're very niche. Like, you're passionate about them, you're a fan, but like a lot of people are like, what? No, I've never heard of that.
Yeah. Guar. Let's see. Guitar player from Guar. So list of Guar members we have here. Because now they're still around.
There's more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Girl singer.
Obviously. I just want to find. Yeah, so it's this guy. All right, yeah, Flatimus Maximus.
Flatimus Maximus. Yeah,
Flatimus.
You're right.
Flatus Maximus. Sorry, I apologize. Unfortunately, the reason I call them punk rock Kiss or punk metal Kiss or something like that is because they can interchange. They can do that. Like Flatus Maximus, either you can. I think they make them kind of make new characters usually, but I think there's also like they have the luxury of saying like before that they definitely were switching out members. Like there was a couple different Beefcakes, there was a couple different ball sacks, there was a couple different Flatus Maximuses.
Yeah.
Now I can't remember the fucking drummer's name, but I'm not looking that up. Sorry, guys.
Whatever.
It's a drummer. But I just think that was something that I thought, especially because you said Bad Brains, I think earlier, and I was just thinking like there's a lot of those bands that I think people get kind of pressured into saying they like or or liking, and it's just like, yeah, that's good, it's all right.
I'm not a huge I'm going to smear my reputation. I'm not a huge Bad Brains fan.
No, I actually
just band recordings and they have a couple songs I'll listen to, but
yeah, you know who I like? Bouncing Souls. I like those guys.
Oh, I like Bouncing Souls.
Yeah. It's one of those things that like so that's one of those things. I also want to give that disclaimer as well at the end of this to say I also would, if you were saying, would you like to see the Bouncing Souls or would you like to see the Bad Brains? I'd go Bouncing Souls, please. You know what I mean? But I
respect the influence of early punk bands because they were doing something you weren't necessarily like allowed to do.
Yes.
To be loud and be outspoken and talk against the government in any way and do these things that early comics were like breaking barriers, so I respect that, but that doesn't mean I have to like them or listen to them or go to their shows or wear the dumb t-shirts or be obsessed with the skull. Like every girl pretends they're obsessed with the skull.
Yeah. I never wanted to have that. Like I said, not only did they not make shirts that fit me, but I also didn't really want to wear them anyway. So,
I never owned a Misfits shirt in my life.
I
liked that cover we did, but that's it.
Yeah, and that's another thing is when I found out about them, I also found out at the same time about like I said, the new Misfits or the new whatever with Michael Graves as the lead singer. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is pretty good. And they're like, what are you talking about? This sucks. And you're like, oh yeah, you're right. This sucks. This
I
sucks,
saw
man.
the fear in your eyes there.
He's
Pat.
way better. Glenn Danzig is a way better guy that we should definitely
I
like
mean,
better.
Danzig is pretty sick by himself.
Sure.
So I get it.
He's got all those cool wolves in his videos.
Yeah, he's just like a scary old dude that lives on your block and you're
Yeah.
scared to walk by the house.
I
That's
think
a really good impression, actually.
yeah, I've been working on that for years. That's one of those bellows. I got my Danzig bellow down. So we got a couple questions from Instagram, Sonia.
Okay.
Sonia, I apologize. I've pronounced it two different ways now, and
That's
I
okay.
apologize.
Sometimes it's endearing when certain people say it wrong.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean it. Yeah, I am glad that you brought that up. I did mean that. I know the right way to say it. I apologize. But Sonia, can I? Kyle Shahan from Instagram. He asked this question before, but he has now tweaked it a little bit. That I think is it's an interesting twist. So, what do you nerd out about that some people might not know? I think, and like in the sense of like something that you're interested in that people may not know about. You know what I mean?
Oh, like a thing that like a special interest that I have.
Like that you have that, like you'd be like, not a lot of people do this, I don't think. For instance, my wife just recently picked up pottery, which is something that's that you've heard of people doing, obviously, but
well, you might know this about me. I guess mine would be like I'll do crafts. That's a craft, but my weird thing I do is walk around the city with tarot cards and pull them out and do random readings for people because I'm an intuitive tarot reader. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, where the messages.
I did not know this about. I apologize. I'm sorry. This is a genuine reaction right now.
Okay.
I did not know that you were a tarot card reader. Would it be uncouth of me? Do you do them? Can you do them over like this over Zoom?
I do them. Well, I do them on the internet. I have like a channel that I don't tell people about. I just told everyone about it. I'm not going to tell you what it's called, but I don't show my face or anything. I just sit there and meditate into whatever energies are around me. So yeah, I do them on the computer. I do them and film them and send them to people. Are you asking me to pull them out?
Well, you just like, so I guess I don't understand. So I have questions for sure. And I hope you don't mind me asking more details about it, because if you're not, I don't know how, if you're not showing your face, I understand that. Oh yeah, yeah, that's a good point. But like, so you say like you just have them with you and then you just pull them out on the street. Like what, like, so how, like you're just like walking past somebody and you're like, I get this energy, boom. And then like,
but it's usually like more, I'll be in places. Like if I know I'm going somewhere, there's going to be people. I used to take them to Mike's shows. That's the most common place. Cause then besides comics, you're getting random, people that are there for the shows. They're just like hanging around sometimes.
Have you ever gone to a mic, like walked in the room, felt an energy and then been like, and then turned around and went home?
Oh, yes, probably.
And if you did you warn anybody else? Were you like,
yeah,
hey,
no, I'm big on that. I actually, that
energy.
used to happen. I feel like a lot more when I was first starting out, where I just went like, nope, I already did 2 mics tonight. This one, I'm not feeling it.
Yeah.
Mostly because you just feel the general sense of dread in the room.
Yeah.
Like the 3rd mic for a night.
Yeah. Usually at that point, I've done that plenty of times where like, I've got to shows. Now, okay, you reveal stuff about you. You're going to be vulnerable. I'll be vulnerable too. I've done multiple shows where there was 0 people in the audience. I mean, like nobody in the audience.
Sure.
And they were like, all right, well, I guess we'll get started. And I go like, can we just go home? I was just like, you're not going to pay me because nobody paid. So can I just go home? Like, do I have to do comedy?
I've never done 0, but I've definitely done like 4 or 5.
4 or 5 I can work with. I can work with if there's a warm body in front of me. I can.
Yeah, even if there's 2, but usually I don't think I've ever seen less than 4 or 5. It's something I showed up to do.
But if there's like not like, if I'm like, okay, so I'm sitting with you guys right now, and then I'm just gonna go up there and talk to you for a little bit, and then I'm gonna sit back next to you, and then we're gonna just stand like it's just us. So yeah, I apologize. So I've had that gut feeling before where I'm like, I don't like the energy, but I'm usually like, well, I drove all the way here, I guess I'll just hang out.
Yeah.
But so you've done that where so you'll do a random reading on somebody. Have you had anybody go like witch and like try to like spray you with holy water or beat you up or anything?
They're
Or do you-
actually usually generally amazed. And sometimes I think they're fucking with me, where they'll be like, oh my God. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God. And I'm like, I can't tell if they're kidding or not, but then like, no, people actually, I was honored recently. I was hanging out at Helium a couple months ago. There was like one of those shows where they had like Butterly and Rainey and Shane Gillis and like a bunch of other people there. And Shane's my homie and from
Mhm.
when he started in Philly, and he asked me if I had my tarot cards and
Oh,
wanted me to do a reading.
that's pretty
And
cool. Yeah.
then I got to, for him, and like Ian Fidance was there, and like everyone was like super cool about it. I never expected that from him.
Really?
Yeah.
Why not?
Um,
You thought he would make fun of you? I could see that.
Not even that maybe it would just be like, well, I don't believe in that sort
Mhm.
of, but
Like you wouldn't
actually,
think that he would bring it up to you to say like, hey, you want to do that thing?
yeah, he was like, oh, I heard you have your cards, but I didn't even tell anybody that night. See, I'll get a
Or
feeling in
maybe
my
he
head
has it.
before he
Whoa.
has. Well, we're just like, you have a connection with people when you know them and they can sense sometimes what you're thinking and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I've known him for so long that if, like people who I'll get a feeling early in the day when I'm getting ready, like someone wants me to bring these tonight where
Did
I'm
you get
going
that feeling
out.
right before this podcast?
I had a feeling you're gonna ask me something at some
That's
point.
not fair. You knew that because you're a guest on a podcast. That doesn't count.
I didn't, but they're here, so that doesn't matter.
Right. Oh yeah, they're just here.
No.
Yeah. You
But
knew that you wouldn't have to bring them because
and sometimes I'll get a feeling and then I just don't have room in my bag because I got a bunch of waters or whatever in there. And then someone will be like, hey, do you have your, like Jake Matero's asked me a couple times, but then I did take them out the other day. And then like the security guard at Punchline, I haven't been to the Punchline mic in 2 months because it was just cold. And I just was working on the podcast more and doing a lot of other stuff. So to go out on a Monday was like annoying sometimes because I have to leave my house by like 5 to get there by 6:30 because there's so much traffic that time of
Oh
day.
my God.
Yeah,
Jesus.
like any other time it's 20 minutes to get there, but the traffic at rush hour will like kill you. And I took them, and the security guard, this one younger guy, was there, and he was just pointed at me like this and just looked at me, and I pulled them out of my bag real
No
slow.
way.
And he was like,
Wow. Holy shit.
and then he was shuffling them, and like the death card came flying out, and I was like, oh man, what do you got going on? And then like I did the reading, and then he was like, yeah, both my grandmoms died last summer at the
Damn.
same time. And I was like, oh shit. And the reading kind of looked like that. Like,
So be honest, and I mean this with all due respect. I'm not saying this as to be disrespectful to you or anything like that.
no, white guys love to disrespect spiritual women. It's fine.
No.
That's what I expected from
you know I'm a
Shane.
spiritual guy. You know I believe in
I'm
ghosts
kidding.
and
I'm
goblins.
fucking with you. I'm sorry. You're not
But
supposed to curse on here.
I will say in this case, in my skeptic, I always have a very heavy skeptic. Like I try to lean skeptic
Sure.
because like I feel like,
And I like people like that because I like the science behind stuff.
yeah, because I want to know like legitimately, and I mean this with all due respect. So like when I say this, do you think that you just have good instincts, or you are good at reading people? Or
Okay.
is it like a genuine, do you feel, and I not in a condescending way, but just I don't have a better word for it. I don't know if you know this, not a wordsmith. Like, do you feel like you have like a power,
Like a gift or something.
like a gift?
Okay.
Yeah, like a sense, like like legitimate extra sense. Or
I do have that already. Ancillary, unrelated, always had like premonition dreams, and I can read people's intentions really well and
good.
energy kind of. And um the tarot cards were one of the first things I ever did. I've done them for 20 years, I think. Like one of my first hobbies.
Sorry, I'm gonna write this one down so I don't forget.
Yeah. So instincts, yes, but then the actual way that I think that the intuitive reading works from a science perspective, and I explained it to a lot of the guys when I was doing this, and to a lot of people, because a lot of people think it's hard for me to explain without having them in my hands, but a lot of people just shuffle and then like
You can
pull
get
one
them
off
if
the
you
top.
want.
I can.
Sorry. Of course I did this, and I do the I've seen it tons of times. Like my mom has gone to the psychic readers and the things like that. I think tarot cards. I guess I don't know the difference between the two. So I also wrote down how to do tarot
All right.
cards.
So a lot of people just like will shuffle them around, blah, 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 and then just flip it off the top like this in whatever order. They just kind of like lay it out. Okay. So the way I do them is we are all made of electricity. Okay. Right. And kinetic energy flows through us. Our thoughts are charged particles that leave our brain and create our environments around us and affect people around us. There's research, movies, What the Bleep is that weird movie that the guy in the Nexium cult made. But
oh, he made that?
yeah, but he's the nice one. He's not like the
Okay.
crazy cult leader one. It's like the
Okay.
guy that kind of realized something was off.
I
and
worked at a
didn't-
video store when that came out, and I kept hearing people kept coming in and asking for it, and we only had like 2 or 3 copies, and I was like,
yeah,
what the fuck is this movie?
yeah. So I heard about it a long time ago, and I eventually watched it, not until like recently. But so your thoughts and your words all leave your body in particle form and affect the way. So with that in mind, when people think things and they want a tarot reading, they're thinking really hard. I give them the cards and I go, okay, think about what you want and like do this and just like move them around. You're putting your energy in there. As you're doing that, your hands are your energy centers, like your centers of your palm. That's why I hate shaking hands with people. That's your energy centers.
Do you get like shocks when that happens? Like
I feel sometimes just different things. It's
like
hard to
bad things?
explain. Sometimes it's like, yeah, sometimes it's shock. Sometimes it's draining immediately. Sometimes it's just
draining?
like
Did you say draining or straining?
draining. Like it kind of feels like they're pulling on me or something. But one of your hands in these theories that are beyond like human comprehension, sometimes like metaphysical stuff, is that one is your sending hand and one is your like receiving hand. I think this is the sending hand.
That's why people do this.
It's like Tai Chi and stuff is all in
Yeah.
there. And so
Damn. There's really something to this. Like,
yeah, there really is, because when you do there's this Chinese thing that you there's a Chinese Taoist like thing that you kind of like pull your energy in this way and it radiates through your hands and you can feel it. And so I've worked on that for a long time. I have a pendulum I work with and stuff like that to like connect it all. But so when
the pendulum is like something that are you trying to like control it?
Yes, I can do that.
Oh, fuck. That's awesome. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. So with thoughts, I can do that. And my hand, I'll hold it over the center of my hand. I was doing a show one time in a witchcraft festival thing that we did recently that Jay Simpson got us on. But so anyway, when I take the cards, I am just a really good conduit for electricity. Basically, I like to say, like, I'm not doing anything. You just have to know what the cards mean and see the way they fall and kind of understand. And I'm clairaudient, where I can kind of hear things that are messages from the web of consciousness that we're all in.
Yeah.
And so I'll get words that I need to say when I'm doing it. And other than that, it's just like a matter of what you need to know right now.
So it's a psychic ability.
It's a kinetic energy tied with like
does that mean
wisdom.
what is that? Is it?
No, I was just kind of messing around with them.
Oh.
But
it looked dark.
it's kind of like a light at the end of the tunnel one, actually.
Okay.
It's maybe like you've had some things on hold for a while as far as your dreams are concerned, but they're starting to break open now.
Kind of looks like a Slender Man POV.
It's a Slender Man.
Yeah, looks like it. But so yeah, so my mom has gotten in the past psychic readings. So how different would you say, like something like a psychic reading or a reading? You said like you hear things. Is it you're not like, you don't have the same type of abilities as like a medium or something like that, but you're just able to.
Well, no, it is kind of like mediums channel the same way. We all channel the same way, no matter what you call yourself. So there's different clairs. There's clairsentience, there's clairaudience.
I've only heard of clairvoyant, honestly.
Okay, there's like 7 of them.
Okay, what's clairsentient?
I have a screenshot of it on my phone because I knew someone was going to ask me about this.
Holy shit, you did know. You were prepared. See that? It had
Let's
nothing to
see.
do with the card.
Um,
Because I'm not, I really genuinely, I get and the thing that I wanted to try to avoid was making you feel like I was calling you a carny. But I know that
oh
there's like,
no,
there's
I
those
am a
things.
carny. We're all carnies. All of us comedians are
Yeah,
clowns.
but like in that sense of like I don't want to,
No, I want
I
to
don't want
have,
to
I
insult
want
you
to be,
spiritually.
I want to do like Skankfest and have a table where I am the clown, like I am the sideshow.
But isn't that exactly
Okay.
like, of course, every comic that asks you for that, because every comic is avoiding what they know that where they can get answers. Like they
Yes.
go like, yeah,
Because
go see it.
these are just truth in
Yeah,
here.
that's
They're like
just
psychological truths that you're afraid to know the answer to.
right.
And actually, when Shane and had asked me to do the reading for him, oh yeah, let me get my cards. They're out in the other room. So I stood up to leave, and as I was walking out the door, I heard somebody from the green room that was sitting back there say, "Yeah, let me see that Emperor card." So I didn't know who it was. I went and got the cards. I came back. I gave the cards to Shane to shuffle, and he was sitting there for a while. And I go, just think about whatever you want, blah, blah, blah. And then he handed me the deck back. And I went, who said that when I left? And it was Ian. I said about the Emperor card. The Emperor card was like at the bottom of the deck, which is I do an energetic reading for you first, which is your
Yeah.
energies. So whatever card ends up at the bottom is like one of your energies. And then one that's at the top is one of your energies. And it was the Emperor card. And I
Holy
went,
shit.
my heart sank. My heart sank when I went to go get the cards because I was like, this is when I find out if it's real or made up.
Yeah.
And then when I came back, and then when I was doing the reading, the Emperor card came out again.
Damn. What now, and what does the Emperor card mean?
In different situations, it means different things. When you do the readings, the same card doesn't mean the same thing all the time. It's the questions that you ask, but it's an emperor. It's someone who's in control of their empire, like that kind of thing.
Okay.
And then when I did the reading,
like the death card doesn't always mean death. It means
exactly.
Like, it means like a new
rebirth. They can do
rebirth,
cycle endings. They can just mean endings. Like it doesn't mean someone's going to die. But then I did Ian's next, and he was the one that yelled it out, and Emperor card came out for him.
Damn, that's fucking crazy.
So, all right. So clairsentience is the ability to sense energy and the ability to intuit the source and meaning of the energy. So maybe I can do that.
I feel like I have a good judge of character. Is there something in that, like where if I meet somebody, not like, whereas like it doesn't matter the first impression. Like the first impression, you could be late, you could be wearing like shitty clothes, but it doesn't necessarily like
Character could be described as energy depending on how you think of it. Because
like would you say your readings for the most part are like relative, like pretty accurate, let's say like to a person, like 98%, you know what I mean? Like, are they relatively accurate, you would say?
Everyone I've ever done it for has said it's been accurate.
Okay. So
yeah, that's the only thing. And I do my own sometimes, and then I go, damn it, I knew that was the answer. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like one of those things where you're like, yep, yeah.
You're like, why did I even do this? But it's just kind of if you're looking for a truth about something, if you're looking for some kind of an explanation, it'll offer you what you aren't seeing sometimes.
Yeah, like it's almost like when you are like you're mulling something over and you talk to a friend, and then they just kind of say the thing that you were kind of thinking, but they either word it a little bit better, or they basically kind of just say the thing that, like you said, like you were just already thinking,
kind of already knew, but you were like scared to know the opposite answer.
Yeah.
And it's like a kind of like a mild form of psychotherapy, honestly. And then some people, I describe it's magic.
Yeah, that's what
I
it
just
seems
say.
like.
Or it's kind of like gambling a little bit, because you're gambling with what your future could contain.
Yeah, that's what I honestly, it feels like. It almost feels like almost like like how some people view like a Ouija board.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they kind of feel like that one thing, like, yeah, some people, it's kind of like how much energy or how much thought or power you give that. Like, so whatever
Listen, don't, because my sister's unleashed a ghost in this house one time with a Ouija board. It was an angry ghost.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that was the one that like slammed shit.
Angry old lady.
Yeah, that was terrifying.
Yeah. So
but
it's like, if you believe in the stuff, if you think of it. But I've gotten people to I've had people go, oh, I don't believe in that. And then like, I was like, okay, what does this person need to know? And then the card that would come out, they like kind of just went like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Damn. Well, I kind of want to do a reading.
Okay.
but I don't want like, I
You can
feel
do it
like,
off air if you want to. Do you have any more questions from anybody before? Thank you, Kyle Shanahan.
let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah. You know what? This might help. Uh, let's see. One more question, actually, also from Kyle. It says,
Hey, Kyle, what's up?
what does your favorite childhood show or movie or cartoon say about you?
Oh, I loved childhood. Mm, Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
And I am still a pedophile to this day.
still love jerking off in theaters. That's one of my favorite
Still
things,
love getting jerked off in theaters.
but I think it's weird. So this is the reason I said it. I feel like this kind of ties in close to it, because we talked a little bit about dreams and stuff on your podcast. I don't want to give away too much or anything. You should listen to.
I'm going to be posting that. That episode is going out this week.
Oh, perfect. Awesome.
anybody
Yeah. So
paying
yeah,
attention.
check that out, because we talk about a weird dream that I had, and we talked kind of a little bit about dreams in general. But like I always, my favorite thing about most superheroes was, and I know how, like, how like dreams can tell you about something, like oh, that dream actually means this, or this card actually means that, when you're doing a tarot reading or anything.
Mhm.
But I always wanted to fly. Like I always was like, I have a fear. It was so funny, because the this is what it says. So all of the one of my favorite cartoons when I was growing up that I loved, that was actually a lot older than me, was the Centurions, and my favorite character was Ace McCloud, and he was the flying guy, and he had a fucking he's blonde haired dude, mustache, and he could fucking fly and fight crime and save the world, and superheroes and Spider-Man and all this shit. I remember I had a dream one time where I could fly, and then I started to fly, and then I got terrified because I'm still scared of heights. And I go, oh yeah, I don't like being up that high. That's scary to me. I didn't trust the flight. You know what I mean? Like, there was
You're a
something
pussy even in your dreams, Pat.
even in my dream. Like, I had a dream once where I started to cheat on my wife. Like, and I was like, oh, I'm married. I stopped in the dream and woke
Oh,
up.
what a
Like,
loser.
what the fuck am I doing? It's literally, I don't have to do that.
You're like, this is the only time I actually can do it.
Yeah, it's like, and like, it was like happening, and like, it was one of those things of like, oh, I can't, I'm married, and woke up and was like, what was that? Like, so I definitely feel like there's something about that. Like, I don't know, whatever that's supposed to tell you. Like, I always wanted to be either invisible or fly. Like, I feel like I wanted to be.
Yeah, I want to be invisible sometimes.
Yeah, but I always thought of
Sneak
it for
around.
hijinks.
Yeah, hide out in locker rooms. I don't know. What are we talking about here?
Yeah. Well, when somebody's asking you as a kid, of course that's what you're gonna say.
Yeah.
Like, that's,
Invisibility.
but even still, like, being able to fly was like, yeah, I could just go wherever I wanted to. I was like, oh, I could go visit my aunt in New York. It was always so practical. I was never like,
I mean, way better than Spirit.
yeah. So were you like a person that was like into a lot of the puppet stuff with Pee-wee, or was it more of the weirdness of it? Like, did you like a lot of Tim Burton stuff?
Oh, yeah, I love Tim Burton stuff, and it was our Saturday morning cartoon, one of our Saturday morning cartoon shows when I was, if you're talking little kid for me, it was one of our Saturday morning shows that you could only watch on Saturday mornings, because there wasn't such a thing as like reruns yet, especially for Saturday morning cartoon stuff. Those you had to get up and watch. And it was just the live action part mixed with, like, I guess, because I love a good like Scott Pilgrim, or any of Roger Rabbit, mixed medium in one place. And I think I was born to be a comedian, honestly, honest to God, because I never liked anything more than laughing and how funny some of the weird skits were on there and the side with like the characters that would come in. Because it was, my other favorite one was Mr. Rogers and the neighbors and stuff, like the other people that would come interact with the star, like the host of the show. And he was just so weird, and I've always been weird. That's why my podcast is about weird stuff.
Yeah.
Even after he got called out in the theater or whatever.
I think that's a thing though, is that never changed who he was, because I think there's something about being shown grown-ups that are willing to treat kid, like, either to be fully silly or to be like to commit to children,
Like kid friendly
yeah,
on their medium that they work in.
kid
But then,
friendly
yeah.
in both ways. Like, those are two great examples right there. Mr. Rogers and Pee-wee are two great examples of kid friendly at two ends of the spectrum. There's kid friendly in a very adult way of saying, like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah,
Like,
and
chill, like a
like loves his
grandfather.
wife, and
Yeah. Just like a solid dude that just like, hey, I'm gonna hang out and just kind of just like
really nice neighbor in the neighborhood that would
like,
never touch you.
right, yeah. That like break down how you feel and not feel you. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a better, you put it better. but there's a, and then like with Pee-wee, where it's this like adults being silly. That's what I loved about I think I very clearly, I always say like I knew I wanted to do comedy because of like Gallagher, George Carlin, and
Sure. Those are my top two when I was a kid too.
yeah, super silly. Like
Yeah.
both of those guys, again, that's two ends of a very silly spectrum. But then you have one guy that's going whackity schmackity hitting watermelons, and then one of the guys like whackity schmackity suck a dick,
Or just like making these points about human nature and stuff.
Yeah.
These like very valid and expansive points, but still just like screaming about the government or whatever, like, you know what I mean? And I always said I'm a weird kid because I watched that when I was like 8 or 9 when his special came on HBO. I'm like watching that in my room like a
almost
psycho.
both equally, both of those guys equally. Like those
I loved Carrot Top too when I was a kid.
Yeah, like the silly, the being committed to silliness. But I think I so clearly wanted to be the exact thing I wanted to be, and kind of ties into the question, was Joey from Full House. I wanted to be exactly. I even wanted to change. I didn't like my name. I didn't like Patrick. I didn't want to.
You want someone to go down on you in a theater?
Yeah,
write an anthem about it.
Elaine, I wanted that fucking bear. Tell you the truth,
the bear,
the cross-eyed bear.
Yeah.
But she wanted the. I feel like I wanted to do animation.
Yeah.
I wanted to do comedy.
Yeah.
And I wanted to just be like, that's what I wanted my career to be. Like, never to, like you said, never have to not be funny or joking around or something like that.
Yeah, always, just all the time. He's cut it out to me.
Like, yeah, he's the ideal. Like, that's when I was a kid, that's what I wanted to be. When I'm an adult, I wanted to be Jim Norton. But like, we're both very odd. Now you're mixing some more of the Pee-wee in there. That's some more of the
little. I used to say I wanted to be like a female Jim Norton because I sometimes I'm just so raunchy, I guess.
Even he doesn't want a female Jim Norton. No. Or female anything really. But there's just enough time. How long does a tarot card reading take usually?
Well, it depends on what kind of questions you want answered. Sometimes
that's what I was trying to think. Yeah, I don't know.
15 minutes. Sometimes they're half an hour. Sometimes they're an hour. It depends on how far I sit there and how deep. Because I have 4 different decks. So sometimes I'll do I start with the physical, like what's going on in your physical world. And then I can do the energetics behind that. And then I like to pull out this one that my friend got me, Salvador Dali renderings of all the tarot. And that was one of my first decks. And it's very shadowy and kind of scary. So I'll pull that one out and ask what the messages you're not seeing, like your shadow messages about your life.
Yeah.
And then I have a new one that I just got. It's actually like alchemical symbols. And I don't know if you saw this, the thrice on my forearm too.
Yeah. Oh shit, I did not see that. That's the one I have. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
The alchemy index.
Oh shit, I didn't realize. Yeah.
You said the other album. You said the different one, but this is 1 and 2, the alchemy index. Yeah, I think you said doesn't matter. You can go back. Sorry, everyone can go back and rewind and listen later because we have but yeah, sometimes I'll sit down to do them for my channel and just start asking whatever questions kind of come to me, and it'll be 45 minutes later.
Damn. Well, can we try to? We
can absolutely do one off the air after this for quickly if you'd like to try one out. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, we can do it on the air.
You want to do it on the air? All right.
Is it? I see. That's the only thing that worries me is the fact that you're like, you want to do it on the air? Like,
I mean, it's personal. It's very personal truths, and like sometimes you might go, I don't know if you want everyone to know your business, if you got a question you want to know, or I can just ask general questions and see what the spirits have to tell you, but it can get very personal. It's reading your psychic energy and can transmuting it to me and sending it my way through my hands, by way of my hands, and coming out.
Do I have to do anything with my hands?
No, because you're not here, but I will touch
Okay.
the cards and physically.
Yeah.
My physical deck is under my pillow because I have to sleep on them and cleanse them. So you're gonna get a really good reading. If you want me to go get it, I will go get it.
Yeah, that'd be
All
crazy.
right.
Yeah.
Everyone gets to see my boobs when I stand up again.
Oh, geez. So I think they're sleeping on them. I didn't even ask the question I fucking meant to ask. I just thought of that. Now I got a whole nother question. Why do you have to sleep on them? I love when I meet somebody that like, oh yeah, we know each other through comedy. I'm just like, let's not talk about comedy hardly at all. Let me just ask you.
I mean, yeah, I didn't know this wasn't a comedy podcast. I had no idea.
So I had the question I had from before, and I was realizing as you were leaving, I got a whole nother question now.
Okay.
You said do tarot cards. How do you like do them? Like how
You're
did
gonna watch me?
Okay, yeah, you're right. I guess you're right. So does somebody like teach you how to do this?
Well,
do you like
you're
follow
supposed to. I mean, nowadays it's such this huge because of TikTok. Everyone's like, I'm a tarot card reader, and that's fine, great. But like before, okay, so the way I found out was I had heard of it, I guess, but then one guy I dated around 2002, one of my long-term boyfriends, his mom was like just going through some old stuff, and she had an original like 1970s deck that's like really cool. Like it's just, and because you're supposed to be given your first deck, you're not supposed to go buy it. It's like you in the way that there are certain spiritual things that you encounter in your lifetimes here on this earth as you do your awakenings and however many life cycles you have here, is you're shown information at the time you're ready for it. Okay. So
okay.
I was given these cards and whatever, and it came with a little book. There's little books that just come and it'll be like, okay, ask these 5 questions and put the cards in this formation. And they're called spreads. Okay. So that's the traditional way. Like the old way is people just go whatever, you shuffle it however you want, you cut it, whatever, and then you lay them out in a formation, like one's like a figure 8 and one's like a 4-leaf clover, but they're different tried and true methods that people have used of these ways of discerning things that you want to know. Now the cards kind of fly everywhere when I do it. So if you see me like bending over to pick it up. So for what I want you to do right now is think about what you want answers to in your physical life right now, or what kind of questions. And if you have a specific question, I can literally ask a specific question you want answered. And I'm thinking about what you need to know right now.
I'm thinking. So
you don't have to tell me, just think it at me real hard. You're just transmitting. Energy does not know time and space. Energy does not realize you're in a different part of the state.
So, and you say physical being, like, is it like literally?
This is gonna be your life. This is gonna be your physical part of your life.
Okay.
Because these are very physical cards. And then this is like an energetic deck that's a little harder to translate in a physical terms. So I use this one for energy. And then this is the Dali one. This is the Dali one.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they all have really cool artwork, but some of them are very brutal.
We have we had the Dali Museum where I grew up. Is Salvador Dali is right by St. Pete.
Okay.
Beach. And we like it's I think the largest collection of Dali paintings on the East Coast or something like that, or maybe aside from like some of the other originals and stuff, like there's like the big one, like they lend ones out and stuff like that.
They had an exhibit up here at the art museum a few years ago. They
like, I've been to plenty of museums since we moved up here, but like this is one of the museums that lends their stuff out to those museums, which is crazy. And it's like to see a lot of that stuff. So
well, you're in your head about something.
Yep.
Okay. What does Pat need to know about this? I am asking like the collective energies that surround us. I'm not asking you when I do that. I have to ask the question right, or you'll see me just cycle through the cards and nothing will come out.
Okay.
So what does Pat need to know about this situation that's going on in his head right now? What does Pat need to know in his physical life about this situation?
Oh, one did fly.
Yeah. So you're in a situation where you need to either, or you want to try to go forward with something you're working on, or say something painful that you don't want to say, or sign a contract technically in like legal terms. Those are the kind of energies that surround this card.
Okay.
Like this might be like, if you know, when you have to tell someone a hard truth,
Yeah.
that kind of energy. You
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
wanna, or you're afraid to say something because it might hurt, or it might be difficult, or it might be hard for you even to just say what you need to say or go forward. But the pen in this deck, these feather pens are swords.
Okay.
Because this is the Philly deck. You're going to see some Philly characters come out here.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So this is someone on their way, or thinking about going forward with saying something, doing something, signing contracts, signing divorce papers. Not you, but like, you
Yeah,
know
yeah,
what I mean? Those are the general. All right. So this thing that you have to do, what does Pat need to know here? What does Pat need to know right now about this? How
This
I
is
ask the
interesting.
question. It's how I ask the question.
Yeah.
So where is this going? Where's this?
Yeah. Oh. So is it the one that flies out? That's the one that.
Yeah. It's the energetics. Okay. It's about stability with this is a feminine energy on the card, obviously.
Uh-huh.
It's about stability in that manner of
Mhm.
speaking, and it could be your own internal energy, or it could be a woman that's around you. So she's kind of like sitting on her chair, just kind of patient energetically. This could be a thing or a person, right?
Okay.
So you're kind of thinking about going towards, you have to say something about what you consider to be stability in life right now. 3D
Okay.
things. There's metaphysical aspects and 3D aspects.
So like some of it is like, it's like representative, or it's like something that's like, oh yeah, it's literally because there's like a couple things that I'm thinking of that
Yeah,
you're
so I can help you
know what I'm saying?
clarify. Yeah, so that's what we do is we go through and help clarify more. Give Pat more clarity on this situation. Queen of Pentacles.
Damn, so
Give
it just
Pat-
works like that, literally, like where you're just like,
I have to just ask the question right.
yeah.
What's clarity on this for Pat? What is the clarity here? We have clarity. You're tired of feeling like money is a struggle.
Okay, so it was the thing I thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's a masculine and a feminine energy there, like out in the cold. They say about this card sometimes that you feel like you're out in the cold energetically.
So this literally, if I may,
Yeah.
and I've talked about this with a couple of friends of mine, because being so isolated where I am, like with comedy and stuff like that, and feeling with the not necessarily like, people say don't compare yourself to other people and
Sure.
stuff like that a lot of times.
Yeah.
There's still an element of like, I feel like there should be like, not that I deserve more. And I'm reminded sometimes by my wife, the feminine energy, that a lot of times, like, not to compare, like I've chosen a different path.
Sure.
And I've had a really conflicting deal with it, especially coming out of COVID, of like, do I continue to pursue something that I love, like comedy?
Yeah.
Because financially, I'm not able to provide enough for my wife and to go forward with that stuff. Like, so like, I like, she is somebody who is a main breadwinner and is somebody
You
that's,
mean like this lady here?
that's the lady who's sitting patiently. That's what I'm saying.
She's got a microphone that she speaks her truth to you.
Right. And she believes in me, and she's the one that says keep going. But
Yeah, but you're
I
tired of
personally,
this. You're tired of this feeling.
yes, that's
Well,
crazy.
So there's a quick one. I can keep going. I don't know if this is
So wait, no.
interesting
So
in
then,
advance.
what do I do?
All right. Okay. Well, I can ask that, but are you ready for the truth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like literally, like,
All right.
legitimately, it's one of
All
those
right.
things that, yeah.
All right. So I have to kind of give me a second to kind of
Right.
regather my energy.
You got to get
All
back
right,
into
so
it, right?
regarding this 5 of Pentacles, which is the feeling like this isn't enough, it's not stable enough, it's not support enough, it's not enough stability here. Regarding this card,
am I still supposed to be thinking at you hard too?
no, I'm kind of trying to listen to they call them guides because there's lack of a better term.
Right? I like that. I like that better than
Okay.
spirits or
Yeah, it's
mystics or elders. Sorry.
I can literally just say, should Pat keep trying to pursue comedy for a career? But are you afraid of the answer?
No,
There's
I
stability at
want
the
to
bottom of the
know.
deck where I'm holding it, but hold on.
Yeah.
All right. What's the, I'm going to ask an energetic card. I'm going to pull an energetic card.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say, what's the energy surrounding Pat continuing with his creative pursuits as a career? What's the energy? So I'm just shuffling them to kind of mix them up because I was playing with them yesterday and earlier. What's the energy surrounding Pat moving forward with his creative career?
Oh, we got one. Guys, we got one.
You're waiting for a message from the spirits, actually.
Yeah.
Hold on. All right, let's see here.
God damn it.
What are the messages?
The fucking cards are going to tell me to just keep going or some shit. This is going to be an ask again later.
You have loving support from your feminine. You do.
Yeah.
You know that. What other energies are surrounding this career for Pat?
Was that what? Was that a wing around the?
It's just kind of yeah.
Okay.
Just kind of like, all right, so like, see how that's the Mother of Cups? You have this very supportive. It's something you do have an opportunity to do something you love.
Yeah. Yes.
Let's see here. Now, financially, what is the energy?
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Oh, actually, not. That's a good card. You have a lot of connection and love in this area.
I do, and that's what keeps me going.
Yeah. So, all right. I just got told to pick up like the shadow messages to see if there's anything you're not seeing about it. That's okay. Sometimes we just don't see things.
Oh, that came out quick. This is an urgent message.
That was kind of me, like fluffing around the cards.
Yeah. How do you know when you just fuck up and how?
I can feel it. I can feel it in my fingers when it's me more than, and if I swear to you, if it's not me and I do that and I put it back in the deck, if it wants to come out, it's coming back out.
Yeah. Like, if it's that one, no, that was an accident.
It's meant to come out, and I will literally pick up different decks and the same card will come out.
Shit.
So that's always interesting when that happens.
So, but the dark one came out. So the dark one doesn't necessarily mean it's going to, or shadow, you said, not dark.
Shadow. It's something you're not seeing about the situation.
Right.
What's Pat not seeing about the situation?
This is fucking awesome.
What's Pat?
You're good at this.
There's a naked truth here that you're not seeing. I'll try to find that for you.
Oh yeah. Okay. What does a naked truth mean?
What's the naked truth here?
Oh.
You're not gonna like this. It's in the hands of destiny more than you. Okay. What is the energy moving forward here? And
is that a talent an agency or something?
All right.
Destiny booking.
You're gonna be a struggling artist.
Yeah.
It's that look. Okay. So sometimes
it's one of those things that like don't give it up. You have an audience.
It's like, all right, see, this guy is the Knight of Swords, and I said it was like a little bit of a painful kind. If there could be two Knights of Swords in this deck, there might be. Look at how it's two of the suit cards.
It looks like they're on the same plane.
They're the same suit. So there's cups, there's swords, there's wands, and there's pentacles. So when these two came out, it's like if there was another of this same card, I bet it would have been that. It's going to be a struggle. It's not going to be easy. You already know that kind of going into this. Anything else Pat needs to know about continuing to pursue this in its physical life here? Anything else, Pat? Any more messages from Pat physically for this situation? It's how I ask the questions, or if there's just nothing to ask.
So that was going to be another question I had, was like, how do you know when it's like
you just see me cycle through the cards and nothing pops out.
Huh.
So it depends. If I think the right question at it or say it out loud, that's when I'll get the answers. But sometimes even then it's just done. It's kind of like, that's it. That's all that had to come out. So any more messages for Pat about his physical existence here in that situation?
Oh, there we go.
Oh no.
Okay.
You're very fearful
about
it. So what should Pat be doing about this fear? What's gonna help?
Do you have people come out and say like they didn't know that they were fearful? Like they like that's a hard truth. Like, cause like I do a lot of self-assessment a lot of times. And I think I'm a little too comfortable in uncomfortable situations and being wrong or being scared
perceived
or
as wrong.
yeah, or no, or just being scared and being vulnerable and like not knowing, well, like when you say like this is something that you're very scared of, or like, yeah, I absolutely am, like,
I've never
yep.
done this on a live podcast. I've just done it for people. So they don't usually stop and ask questions. They'll
Sorry.
usually like kind
I'm
of let me
sorry.
go, but that's fine because it's for the purpose of your podcast. It might be more interesting to expand on that kind of stuff. But people, yeah, like, I mean, everyone can usually admit to me because I'm sitting there going through this vulnerable stuff with them that I don't really know these things about you. It's the cards telling me as you're seeing it, the real time. It's the energies that come out in these cards and the messages that come out here. For someone to go, no, I'm not afraid. No, they're usually by that point, they've already opened up to me. And I usually, it's somebody I know most of the time. I have done strangers, but then I'll stick kind of generic. I'll stay like not, but the meaning of this card is usually a fear of something, a fear of saying goodbye, a fear of going forward, a fear of anything. I could say, what's the biggest fear here that Pat needs to face? Do you see how
There
it
we
came
go.
out?
I like that one.
Go. Oh, there it is.
There's like a pile of them on the floor.
No,
Grass.
it's actually that is something you love going to yield this message that you're looking for. It's the same card. It's the Hierophant from two different decks.
Damn.
You need to look this card up when we get off of here and look at your own meanings. Look up Hierophant. Okay.
Hierophant.
Hierophant. Can you see it spelled there? Hierophant. Hierophant.
Hierophant.
Hierophant. Okay. So it's generally a messenger from the universe. You need to listen closely to the messages in your intuition and your conscious and your dreams. Pay attention to those dreams because that's where our spirit messages come in here and reach us when we're in those subdued states of dreaming and metaphysical energy, when our brains are inactive in the conscious mind. You need to delve into your subconscious. This is like a kind of like an intuition thing, or like like going and doing meditation and listening to those messages about that creative career, especially. Wow. What's Pat's messages about the podcast? You see it as a future. You do see this as a future. You're just not sure if it's really going to work out. Anything Pat can do here in his physical life to help. I was going to say to help make it work. And that is a heartbreak card.
Oh.
So maybe like accept the possibility of heartbreak.
Okay.
Right? It's kind of like when you go into dating, I feel like, and you go, well, I mean, like if someone ghosts me, oh, well. Like if this doesn't work out, oh, well, because otherwise you could end up with that little, like, see that little red heart in there? Like it could be the big painful heart, but it could also be something good. It's just, you have to be ready to face that, because your indecisiveness and your wavering contributes to potential heartbreak in something that you love.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's really, oh, sorry, go ahead.
To say any more messages before I close this part. Oh. Yeah, you have a chance to start a new cycle, but you're too stuck in your head about it.
Yeah.
So nothing's going to open up. It's just going to be this more pain, kind of more mental pain and anguish. How can Pat relieve this mental pain and anguish? How can Pat clear this mental pain and anguish? This is a card of making a choice in your real life, making a decision regarding your money situation.
Yeah.
Like a definite choice. She has two options here. So you're her, okay? One's the better option with more money, and one's the one that you have to help along a little bit more.
Yeah.
All right. Energetically, what's the answer here? What should Pat be going towards energetically? Becoming less defensive in your own energy about it.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of guarding this and blocking it off. The wand is our creative energy where we make our magic, but you're like blocking it by you're on guard, like in how he's in the defensive position, like as a cobra would be coiled up and ready to strike. You're like ready to strike, but you're also blocking yourself a little bit because you're so focused on the physical aspect of it instead of understanding the
creative
outcome.
side. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any specific question you want me to ask?
No, I don't think so. I think I got actually that is exactly that made me feel better, because when you started going into the lady energy and then like the legal papers and shit, and I was just like, wait, what the fuck? And I was like, I really hope it's that other thing. I'm glad that the cards decided that, and I didn't, because I was like, damn, am I gonna have to get a fucking divorce? Like, does the cards just gonna tell me I'm gonna divorce?
Usually when I do my readings, when I do them not in this like kind of, I have a little table over in the corner where it's like a spread area. So because they'll tend to fall and stack on top of each other in the areas that they belong.
Uh-huh.
So it's a little harder for me to do it like this because they're kind of just coming out all over. Because when I'm down at my smaller table, they'll like, okay, like the Queen of Pentacles and the Knight of Swords might have stacked up over here, but then these other ones might have been all the way over here and unrelated to this.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps me read the story better, of what's going on overall. But it makes sense once you say what you were thinking about how it resonated with you. And that's the importance, is it resonates different with everyone. I could pull these same cards for somebody else and get a different energy.
Yeah.
Based on what they're feeling and how they're reacting to it.
Mm.
So
my last question, and I really do appreciate you doing that. That was really cool.
I like doing them. It's fun.
That was really cool, and it was really insightful in the sense that like you have an ability that I didn't want to, like, you don't do the thing where like the medium where you say something and then I go like, yes, that's my aunt Steve,
I actually that's what I was doing at the witchcraft show.
Yeah.
Like using the clairaudience that some of us have. Some people are just better at doing that. I only learned how to do that last year.
And that's legitimately what I sent over to you was like, okay, here's something that I'm thinking of. But the thing that I'm always worried about, and anytime I think about like hypnosis, I don't necessarily, it's so funny. I believe in ghosts and this and all this other shit, but hypnosis, for some reason, like entertainment hypnosis, I don't necessarily believe in. And I know it's the same one, but it's just a little bit. It's just
I've always wanted to go try that because I'm skeptical on anything on TV.
Yeah.
I go,
like, they're in on it. You think
they're in on it. They're not eating that onion like it's an apple. But then you hear stories about people going to those live shows and seeing people do crazy shit, but they could be plants. I don't know until I go do it myself.
Exactly. And that's always my thought when, especially with this stuff, or like seeing a psychic or something and me going like, okay, here's what I want to know. And then them going like, oh no, that's not what you need to know. This is what you need to know. And then have it be, like you said, it could go to a dark place, this kind of thing of like, but legitimately something like that where I've done some real, because there's a lot of fucking comics and there's a lot of fucking podcasters, like, and we were talking about this earlier with podcasting of what am I actually adding and what can I put my energy into that I can offer something. So this is a legitimate thing that I've gone through in my head, and I'm not scared of an answer anymore. I just want to know if I'm not going to be the comic podcaster, video editor, this, like all this other shit, like I want to do something, and I have enough lanes in there. But the cards that were shown to me that are ones that anytime I think about it, I get reassurance from either somebody that I've met through comedy, all of my connections that I've made, my wife, the feminine energy, who is also the breadwinner and the financial, but mainly
Queen of Pentacles.
The issues that I've had have been with the financial part of it, and I am tired of feeling useless. So that's the thing of like, the artistic side of it, I love. I'll never get tired of doing stand-up or open mics or any other of that shit. It's just the fact of like, when it becomes to feel like I'm a fruitless effort, it's a fruitless.
Yeah, there's a point where there's a common sentiment. I agree with it. Like, after you do it for so long, if you don't have any traction, you could continue to do it. You're right. But then at that point, you could pick up a different hobby or something. If it's just a hobby, if it's not a job source of any income, not one penny,
Right.
You know what I mean?
Which
Like
comedy
just
isn't
spending money on it.
necessarily that. Like, it's not like it's
Well,
not
it
like,
is for
but
some
it's,
people.
well, yeah, exactly. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like I'm sitting
1%.
here where anytime I have this thought, or if I talk to a close friend that I've met or something like that up here, it's always been like these cards, the cards that essentially you're showing me, and the cards
Yeah.
that the truths that you're showing me are literally like, no, the issue is me. It's the fact that I have, whether it be a hesitation to put
Mental
myself
block.
out there, a mental block or anything like that, because it's not that I have a lack of creative ideas or thoughts like that. It's the
Sure.
execution, it's the fear
I kept not
of
to cut you
failing at
off.
that. No, I'm sorry. You go
Yeah,
ahead.
I kept getting a whatever, the suggestion, I'll say, in the back of my head that you want to know what the future holds.
Yeah. No, I think that
Oh,
was
it's actually it's a good. It's a
okay.
decent. It's a good. The you're still all right.
So the struggling artist card, when you got that one, or when you sent that one, or showed me that one or whatever,
Mhm.
that was essentially was like the route that I'm taking. And the thing that my wife reminds me of all the time is the fact that I've gone away, that I want to try to build my own audience.
Sure.
And when that you do that, and you're not somebody that's willing to try to be on a like AGT,
Like
or
conform to
or
something,
to win a
or
comedy competition, or do other
be
things like
mainstream TV comic.
like stuff like that, where I'm like, I'm sure I could do that, but I don't know if I want to do that. So it's kind of like, that's the idea of, I forgot where I was going with that. I
You were
apologize.
saying building a fan base, and I
The
say that
struggling
to people
artist.
all
Yeah.
the time. Struggling artists have people respect them and watch them because they watch them come up from nothing, instead of just, but a lot of the people you see on America's Got Talent have been doing comedy for a long time, I think,
Yeah.
already. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they were already pursuing it and already
Right.
have like an agent or something. Cause I did a weekend with Joe Matarese, and he was just on there, but he's been doing comedy like 30 years.
Yeah. And that's the thing of like, of not like, of trying to figure out my lane, and kind of going like, okay, well, what, and the struggling artist card was kind of like one of those things of like, oh, okay, so that's a thing of, that's essentially what I've kind of been striving for. So it's kind of nice and reassuring. But I interrupted right as you pulled that last card, and I apologize.
No, that was it. I kept hearing like, tell him what's the future of this.
Yeah.
And it's a idea of you back here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of staring ahead at what the prize is at the end of the day.
Okay.
So you're still back here, still working on it. The future holds positive potential here for it.
But
money, it doesn't say money. I'm not saying it says money here, but it's a positive potential for your perceived success in the creative career that you want.
Perfect.
Okay. Does that equal money?
No.
Not all the time.
Probably not for me. Yeah.
I mean, not everybody becomes a superstar at what they do. There's 100 million, whatever, second string, third string football players. Not everybody is Mahomes or Wentz or whatever, Hurts.
Right.
These like star quarterbacks. So I could ask, what's the financial potential in the future here? What's the financial potential in the future?
Yeah.
What's the financial potential? Any physical financial potential here?
This one, at least I can report back to the wife and let her know, because I think she has the expectation of.
Not great.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I figured.
Oh, it's a lot of unease.
Yeah. But I mean, does a rent pay?
Balancing. It's like a balancing act. Do you see how he's trying to balance two coins?
Uh-huh.
So it's going to be a balancing act financially.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm used to that. I can do that.
Yeah. So that's about it.
But hey, that guy, you know what I see there? 2 coins in his hands. He's got coins in both hands.
He's got coins. He's got some really jacked calf muscles. Maybe that's in your future. Love a good calf.
I know
muscle.
that those aren't your calves, but still.
Yo.
I'm flexing those too.
He's got nice biceps. Whatever. Maybe you'll suddenly be a fit runner in the future.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's how I'll get to that end point. But Sonia, thank you so much for making the time and answering a lot. Honestly, every single the last question I had. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, you wrote something down.
Why do you have to sleep on the deck to clear them?
Oh, because it's the time when you are in REM state or dreaming or theta state or any of these states you go throughout the night is when you are like most sensitive and open to the subconscious energies that we pull in and out, the way power stations do not generate electricity and send it out. Okay. They meter and regulate electricity that is pushed and pulled back and forth from the 2 points. Okay. So it's like constantly pushing and pulling. So with our brains, because we operate on the same electricity, you're pushing and pulling out all day long, depending on what state you're in. When you're conscious and you're awake, you're mostly pushing out thoughts. You're not as receptive. That's why when you go into meditation and dream states,
Right.
you're pulling energy in because you're open, right? There's a Buddhist saying, it's like the focused and unfettered. I don't know if you know what that word is.
Yes, I do. I actually do know.
Okay. Unfettered mind is one of the most powerful things in the universe. So when you're asleep, your mind has zero focus. Your conscious mind has no dominion over your energy that you're pulling in from the entire consciousness. See the entire consciousness behind me here?
Yeah.
Okay.
You've been in the consciousness.
The
this whole
collective
time.
unconscious around me pulls in at such a stronger rate when you're asleep that I believe it's like washing over you in waves, and just washing over these cards and kind of rinsing them of the energy that I'm consciously putting in there when I'm shuffling them, or when people touch them and I take them out and they're around other people, and other people's energy gets like all quantum entangled on there.
Yeah.
When you're sleeping, and because I'll wake up and take them out. I have crazy dreams when I put them under there usually.
That's
And
what I
I
was gonna
did
say,
have some
yeah.
crazy dreams last night. I don't remember exactly, but I was thinking about it all day at work. I was trying to like remember what the hell it was. I just know it was intense. And but like, so those waves are coming in and clearing through these physical tangible things the same way it goes through this body when you're asleep, right?
Awesome.
And I think because you're interconnected and it's like just in there in the bed with you, I've read that that's a way to do it a long time ago. And I'm sure when it was first invented, nobody had any explanation or idea why.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of metaphysical stuff, in Western, especially, thought didn't come here until the 40s and 50s.
Yeah, the scientific elements or explanations weren't even available.
Exactly.
It
They would
literally
just
was all
say,
magic.
you just do this. That was just like
Yeah.
a practice. Like, oh, you just sleep on them to reset them.
Right.
And what people wouldn't go into why. It was just like, okay, because your thoughts are so powerful.
So I apologize that we dirtied up the card that you just already got all.
No,
pulled.
I sometimes I sleep on them every night of the week if I use them a lot.
Mhm.
And it gives me crazy dreams, but it kind of, it just has to be done. You got to cleanse your crystals every once in a while. You got to cleanse your body. You got to cleanse everything, your space.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think overall it's a thing that I am like. Again, I'm kind of like skeptical. Like again with the hypnosis or anything like that. It's ultimately at first I'm like, oh, I'm a little skeptical, but once you start pulling that stuff out, I'm like, yeah, you know what? It's fucking right.
yeah,
You can't argue all of it. So
you can't argue. I didn't believe in Reiki until I went to somebody that was really, really good at it. And I had like a couple encounters that startled the person doing it.
Okay. Yeah.
And I went, okay, I believe in Reiki now.
Nice. Hell yeah. Well, I appreciate it, like I said, and I appreciate everybody for listening and watching. Make sure you check out Sonia's podcast. Yo, that's weird. Subscribe, rate, review, all that fun stuff. And again, thank you so much for being here, man.
Thank you, Pat, for having me and letting me pull out my weird